Hi, stylists. Today we're going to talk about the Elite Director level on our new enhanced compensation plan here at Color Street, which is effective April 1st of 2022. This is one of our new ranks in the plan, and I am so excited about this rank. I really think it adds a lot of value and a beautiful stair step in between the senior director and executive levels. If you want to take a look, pause here for our earnings statement. Key terms. Again, most of you at this level are extremely familiar with all of these terms, but here's a little reminder for us. Okay, Elite Director. If we're going to get right into it, the first thing to note is that the map is too big to fit on one page. So I'm going to go over what you need in order to achieve this level. And then on the next slide, I'm going to share with you the rank map as well as what you're able to earn at this level of Elite Director. So like always, 300 in PV is a requirement in order to be paid as an Elite Director. On this level, you will be required to have 60,000 or more in capped group volume, which is awesome because it allows us to put all of our focus into what we love most, which is selling our incredible product. This level will require 1 director leg and 3 senior team builder legs. Again, director or above and senior team builder or above. So they don't exactly have to be that level. They just have to be at least at that level or above. We mentioned this before, but if it's been a while since you've watched the previous training, I want to reiterate that one of the things I love most about this new plan is that from the very beginning stages all the way to the highest rank in the plan, there's never a time where you are required to have more than 4 legs. And you can develop those legs as you wish and strategize with those legs, of course. And that additionally, you're only ever going to need 1 leader 2 steps behind you and 3 leaders 5 steps behind you. I personally think this is a really fair way to condense your efforts, and it does just afford more flexibility within this plan. Like always, we've included a checklist here. So if you want to go into the team pages and print these slides and print the maps that are corresponding with these trainings, please feel free to do so. I personally think it makes so much more sense when you can visually see this information out on paper in front of you, and it helps you to clarify what you might be missing, where the volumes might be imbalanced, and or help you visualize what you're being paid on for different levels and generations, etc. Assuming at this level we understand generations a little bit better, but regardless, we're still going to talk about it here. So as you can see, this is of course our bare minimum map. This is the minimum requirement in order to achieve Elite Director, assuming that there is some more volume here that makes up 60,000 in capped group volume. So again, this doesn't necessarily mean that these are all the legs that you have. It just means that you at least have to have these specific legs, and however else you make up the 60,000 in capped group volume is totally fine, as long as, again, you're using the capped rule where you can only count up to 50% from the strongest leg, which means for all intents and purposes that at the Elite Director level, you combined with all of your other legs outside of your strongest leg are doing at least 30,000 or more in cap group volume. So I want to reiterate this. If this director is doing $100,000 in volume, that's fine. That's not going to hold you back. It just means that you can only count 30 of it toward this capped volume if you and the remaining legs are doing exactly 30,000. Now, I want to make an example out of this example while I have you all here. Let's assume this leg is doing $100,000. They're just absolutely blowing us away in sales. Okay, they're doing $100,000 in this leg. And then you combined with all of your other legs are doing 30,000. Well, that would be 30,000 from here and 30,000 from here, which would make up 60. right? Now let's assume that you're midway through the month when this happens. You're just having a fantastic month and you all continue to grow your GV outside of the strongest leg. So you combined with all of your other legs and their team members are still continuing to grow. That means that there's an additional, if again, this leg did 100,000, so far you've only counted 30 of it. That means there's an additional 70,000 here in this big leg that is going to match dollar for dollar everything that you all are doing outside of that strong leg. So basically, up to the $70,000 extra, every time you all sell 10,000 more, then you get to pull another 10,000 from here. So in this example, this leg has sold 100,000 and you all have now sold 40,000. Okay, so you can count this 40,000 in its entirety, and you can pull another 40,000 from your strongest leg to bring you to a capped group volume of 80,000 in that situation. So again, just because someone is like creating capped volume in your lineage, it's not a punishment. It just means that there's more money out here that you could tap into every time you all balance that strong leg outside of it. Okay, so I don't want you to be afraid of cap volume or be anxious about it. I just want you to see the benefit of having one remarkably strong leg that you really don't have to worry about too much other than support them in any ways that they may need at that level. All right, so a paid as elite director earns 5 levels deep of 7, 6, 4, 4, and 3 respectively. So again, you can see that that means like in this situation, all of these leaders, you would receive 7% on their PV. All of these leaders, you would receive 6% on their PV, because again, we're calling this level 2. Level 3 would get 4%, level 4 would get 4%, and so on and so forth. So even though there's really only a need for like one level 4 person at this stage, oftentimes in order to achieve the 60,000 in capped group volume that's required to get here, there's going to be more people in place than this minimum requirement. Okay, so that could look like additional width out here. It could look like additional depth in the downline legs, however you want to do it. But once you go above the minimum requirement of this level, you can start dipping into level 5 bonuses as well as additional generation overrides. So we've talked a little bit about generations, and as I've mentioned before, we're going to have a few generation specific trainings for you to reference back to. We'll try to get those loaded onto YouTube as well as in the team spaces. But generations are basically calculated when there is a senior team leader or above in a leg. Okay, so let's look at this scenario. In this situation, we've got a director leg here who's doing exactly 17,000 in capped group volume. But for these purposes, we're going to say that they're doing 17,000 in total group volume. It doesn't matter, you know, if it's capped or not for this generation purpose, as long as you have the 17 capped required for this director leg, then it doesn't really matter the rest of the volume. Okay, so in this situation, this director is your generation 1, because this is the first person in this lineage who is a senior team leader or above. Okay, or above is a very important part of generations, because sometimes people might think like, oh, I have a senior team leader here and I get a generation override on them. However, if they promote past that, I'm going to lose the bonus. And that's not the case. It can be a senior team leader or above that maintains your generational override. So in this situation, as you can see, there's only one person in this lineage who is a senior team leader or above, and it's this director right here. So that means this director is a generation 1, and that means there are no generation 2s in this example. Okay, so if this director was doing exactly 17,000 in capped group volume, and you were receiving a 4% override on that volume, that means on top of all the level bonuses, on top of all your retail and enhanced commission bonuses and anything else that you might be eligible for at this stage, you're also going to receive an additional $680 as a 4% generation override on the $17,000 that this director leg is doing. And that's why we say that there's a lot of power in generation overrides, but it is going to take some time for all of us to get more familiar with how these generations are calculated on our new plan. Now, you might be asking, like, what creates a generation 2 or a generation 3? Well, that would happen if this director or above, or really senior team leader or above, had a leg or multiple legs that were also senior team leaders or above. So if this director had a senior team leader leg right here, then this director would be your generation 1, which means that all of their volume outside of the second generation senior team leader, you would receive a 4% override on all of that volume. And then if this was a senior team leader here creating a generation 2 STL, then you would receive 2% on their entire team volume. Okay, and so on and so forth. So if this was also a senior team leader, that would be your generation 3. And that's how generations are calculated. And it doesn't really matter what level these leaders are at. So let's say this director was your level 5. And between you and the director, we're all qualified stylists. That's fine, because a qualified stylist doesn't create a generation. So this director, as your level 5 in this hypothetical situation, would still be considered your generation 1. So the override bonus there would be the same. And one other thing I want to point out that I don't think I mentioned in the previous video is that your generation overrides are paid on the entire GV, not just the capped GV. So let's say, for example, this director is the only person in this leg who is a senior team leader or above, okay, for argument's sake. And let's say that they have 17,000 in capped group volume, but let's say they had a total of 50,000 in group volume. Again, we're assuming they're the only senior team leader or above in this leg. For the purpose of generation overrides, capped group volume is irrelevant. As long as they're qualifying with the amount of CGV that they need, you're paid on their entire group volume. So again, this director has 17,000 in capped group volume, but a total of 50,000 in group volume. That means that as an elite director, you would receive a 4% generation 1 override on the entire $50,000 that this director was doing. And if we calculate that out, that's an additional $2,000 just from right here, just from a generation 1 override. That's on top of, again, all the level bonuses and anything else you're eligible for. And that is why there is so much true power in helping to support your leaders to hit the senior team leader and above level, because that override is just so incredible for whatever volumes those leaders are doing. So again, we're going to try to put more resources up to help you understand generation overrides. The elite director level is sort of kind of comparable to the executive director level on the old plan. For those of you who are new with us, you can disregard this part, but for those who've been around with us for a while, you know what I'm talking about. Executives on the old plan required 50,000 in cap group volume. However, they also required many more legs than what is shown here for the minimum required legs as an elite director on the new plan. So it is my opinion that this plan not only affords for more flexibility, but that there's more power in how much you're able to tap into in terms of percentages for how you're paid out at this elite director level. And how you build the legs, again, is more flexible. These senior stylists, we love this level because it can be one person selling 700 or more, or it can be one person selling 300 or more with a team that combined total is doing 700 or more. So like always, if you get a little tripped up on what any of these levels require, I would encourage you to go back to the corresponding rank video for those levels. So, you know, from qualified stylist, senior, team builder, team leader, elite stylist, etc. Go back and rewatch those short videos if you're getting tripped up at all on this. And like always, this level is, I still encourage you all to be printing rank maps at this level. Because your lineage is growing rapidly at this stage for a lot of you, you may want to print 4 separate rank maps. Like maybe you want to print 1 director map and 3 senior team builder maps, and then map out each of your specific legs. So we can count 1 promotion from a leg, and we can take the strongest promotion from each leg, regardless of what level that promotion is in our lineage. Okay. If you guys have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to ask in our team pages, etc. It's going to be a tiny bit of a learning curve, but we can go back here and look. It's still manageable in the sense that you're still maxing out at a required 4 legs. You can certainly have more than that, and there are incentives to do so. For example, if you have 10 level 1s, well, then that's more opportunity to pick up this 7% level bonus on all of those legs. So just because this is the minimum requirement doesn't mean, you know, that there aren't advantages or benefits to doing more than the minimum. So thanks for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. And otherwise, I am super excited to see all that you all accomplish on this new plan.